For today's shawl, we're going to need one ball of Karen Colorama Halo. I really liked this colorway. It's called Blue Raspberry, so I knew I just had to pick it up when I saw it. It's a very soft yarn, and it is a bulky weight yarn. We're also going to need size US 11 knitting needles, a pair of scissors, and a yarn needle. Let's get started. We'll start with a slip knot. And cast on 5 stitches. Use any cast on you like to cast on 5 stitches. I am actually just going to experiment with a cast on. I noticed that it might be a little stretchier than my usual go-to, which is the long tail cast on. So that's what you're going to see me doing here. So if it looks a little weird, it's just a new cast on that I'm trying. And we're going to cast on 5 stitches. 3, 4, 5. I'm hoping that this cast on will be a little stretchier than my long tail cast on, and a little nicer than the simple backwards E-wrap cast on. All right. Got my 5 stitches on the needle now, and the way this shawl begins is with, it's basically, I'm going to show you 3 stitches, or 3 rows rather. I'm going to show you 3 rows, and we'll be repeating rows 2 and 3 until the shawl gets to the size that we want it. So here's row 1. Knit 2, yarn over, purl 1. Now, since this yarn over comes right before a purl stitch, I'm going to have to wrap my yarn around again so that the yarn is in the right working position for the purl stitch, and I have an actual yarn over. And then yarn over, knit 2. Since my working yarn is already in the front of the work, because of that purl stitch we just did, I'm not going to have to move my yarn. I'm going to leave it to the front of the work and do my 2 knit stitches. And we should now have 7 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stitches. Row 2. Knit 2, and in this next stitch we're going to knit, yarn over, knit all into this next stitch. So that's knit, don't drop the stitch off the needle, yarn over, knit. And then you knit to the last 3 stitches and do the same thing. Knit, yarn over, knit into this 1 stitch. Knit, don't drop it off just yet, yarn over, knit, and knit 2. We have 11 stitches on the needle. Row 3. Knit 2, yarn over, purl to the last 2 stitches. As we did before, because the yarn over comes right before a purl stitch, I'm going to wrap the yarn around one more time. Purl to the last 2 stitches. And we'll yarn over, knit 2. Since my yarn is already in the correct working position for a yarn over, I'm going to leave it to the front of the work, and I'm going to knit 2. And now we have 13 stitches on the needle. Okay, and that's how the shawl begins. From here, we just repeat rows 2 and 3. 2 and 3 over and over again until the shawl grows to the size we want. I'll do another few rows and then I'll work while the video's off and then come back and show you when the shawl is much bigger. So row 2, repeating rows 2 and 3, we knit 2, knit, yarn over, knit into this stitch, knit. We're not dropping it off the needle. We're going to do yarn over and knit into it again. Knit to the last 3 stitches. Now we're at the last 3 stitches. We will knit, yarn over, knit. Knit, yarn over, knit, and knit the last 2 stitches. The next row we'll knit 2, yarn over, and then purl to the last 2 stitches. So again, since the yarn over comes right before a purl, I'm going to wrap the yarn again. I'm going to purl to the last 2 stitches. Yarn over, knit 2. Since my yarn's already in the front, I'm just going to knit 2. Repeating again, rows 2 and 3, knit 2, knit, yarn over, knit, knit to the last 3 stitches, knit, yarn over, knit. Knit 2. Next row is knit 2, yarn over, purl to the last 2 stitches. Yarn over, knit 2. Since my yarn's already there, I'm just going to knit 2. And now maybe you can start to see how this shawl is forming, right? In this crescent shape. It's really lovely. So I'll do a few more rows and then come back and show you what that looks like. When there's about 95 grams left of the yarn, I just put it on a scale and weighed it. We're going to start the garter section, and the garter section is just so that the end of this shawl doesn't curl up, because stockinette stitch will curl. So we're going to continue working the right side row just as we have been. Knit 2, and then knit, yarn over, knit into that same stitch, and then we're going to knit all the way down to the last 3 stitches and do the knit, yarn over, knit. So nothing's changed in the right side row. We're just going to continue doing that. And we'll just do a garter panel until we basically run out of yarn. The second row of the garter section is very similar to how we were working the wrong side row before, except we're going to knit to the end instead of purl. So it'll be knit 2, yarn over, and knit to the last 2 stitches. Whereas before we were purling to the last 2 stitches, now we're going to knit to the last 2 stitches. When we get to the last 2 stitches, yarn over, knit 2. Our bind off row was a backwards yarn over bind off, and I'll link another video to show you how to do that. It's a really nice and stretchy bind off, which is really what you need for a you know, a shawl like this, because when you block it, you're gonna want to make sure that your bind off row is stretchy. And all that's left of that entire thing of yarn is this. It barely registers on the kitchen scale, but this is all that's left. So we made really good use of all of that yarn.